Hello, welcome back to all of the Street Fighters. We're going to look at almost all of the Street Fighters. So far we've looked at Street Fighter 1, we've looked at 3 different Street Fighter 2 games, and I feel like it's definitely time to move on to a new series, because we could look at Street Fighter 2 games for all eternity, and as much as I love Street Fighter 2, I'm done with that. So the next entry. The first new Street Fighter game since Street Fighter 2 launched, Street Fighter Alpha Warrior's Dreams. So this is a prequel to Street Fighter 2, but although the Japanese name of this is Street Fighter Zero, it's not a prequel to Street Fighter 1. Street Fighter Alpha is set after Street Fighter 1 and before Street Fighter 2, so it's set in between Street Fighter 1 and 2. So you'll notice some of the characters look younger. It's got some characters from Street Fighter 1 in it. It's like a reboot in a lot of ways. The graphic style's completely changed, totally updated, looks super modern compared to Street Fighter 2. It's got tons of new characters we've never seen before, callbacks to old games. It was a big shake-up for this series. It spawned 2 sequels, Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Alpha 3, funnily enough. As I say, called Street Fighter Zero in Japan, so you'll often see it written as Street Fighter Zero. So yeah, let's jump in. So characters, we've got Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li and Sagat from Street Fighter 2. We've got Birdie and Adon from Street Fighter. We have Charlie, who's the first time we see Charlie, he'll appear in other entries. He's Guile's mate, is like army friend, and he's just got the same moves as Guile, basically. He's essentially a Guile reskin in this. We've then got Rose, who's another brand new character. She's like a psychic. And then we've got Guy and Saddam from Final Fight. So Guy, who's one of the playable characters in Final Fight, and Saddam, who's one of the enemies. M. Bison shows up as a boss, so we know him. And Akuma and Dan are also in this. This is the very first appearance of Dan, who's kind of a parody character. And he's like Ryu and Ken, but he wears a pink suit. And he was always a little bit of a joke, but again, he shows up in so many future Street Fighter games. He becomes a really important character. Right, so loads of new characters that are new to Street Fighter, and loads of Street Fighter 2 characters that have just been left behind. You know, there's no Kami in this, there's no E Honda, there's no Blanca, like they're just left behind tons of the characters, and started with this fresh new cast, which is, yeah, it was really weird at the time and quite brave, but it's totally brilliant. This was a really modern take on Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo added in the Super Combo meter. Street Fighter Alpha took that and ran with it and made it a 3-part meter. So you'll have a level 1, level 2 and level 3 super meter, and depending on how much meter you've built up, you can do a stronger super move. So if you ever see in the footage the characters kind of fly across the screen with loads of silhouettes behind them, loads of shadows, that's their super combo. And if you finish your opponent off with that, the whole screen will explode and fill with fire, and it's really impressive. Looked awesome. So a lot of the music in this is reworks of themes, so Ryu's theme and Chun-Li's theme and Sagat's theme. They're like reworked versions of their classic music, which is really cool. Their stages are totally new. Chun-Li's stage, she's on the Great Wall of China. Ryu's stage, he's in a Japanese street with a convenience store behind him, and the new artwork's so cool. It's very much taken from Darkstalkers, which if you've ever played Darkstalkers, that came out before Street Fighter Alpha, and they've taken on that kind of art style. It looks a lot more, I guess it looks a lot more anime, but it's a lot more like a cartoon rather than 16-bit pixel graphics. A lot more colours, a lot more detail. I mean, this was running on much more powerful hardware, so they could do a lot more with that. So one of the new things they added in Street Fighter Alpha is the option for 2 different playing styles. When you select your character, it will ask you if you want to play in normal mode or in auto mode. Auto mode's it's a bit like an easy mode. Your character will automatically block some attacks, so you don't have to hold back to block. And it'll also let you instantly pull off your super combo by pressing punch and kick together at the same time. So it's not completely automatic, you still have to pull off your special moves, you still have to fight, but it kind of automates a few of these new features. I'm guessing there was a general feeling that as they kept adding in new features and new little mechanics to Street Fighter, they didn't want it to get too complicated for people who just wanted to jump around and punch and kick. And there is an element of feature creep in future entries, and I think Street Fighter 3 was probably when it got really tough and was really only appealing to the very hardcore, and we'll get to that when we look at Street Fighter 3. So Street Fighter Alpha also introduced air guards to the series, so you can block in mid-air, which again is a huge new mechanic for the series, because it means, well, you can block your opponent's moves when they're attacking you, when they're jumping. Street Fighter Alpha had ports on the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation. It didn't come to the Mega Drive or the Super Nintendo. Weirdly, Street Fighter Alpha 2 would come to the Super Nintendo, but Street Fighter Alpha never did. It got other ports on the Game Boy Color. I think it had a PC port as well. But yeah, the 16-bit consoles missed out on this one. Weirdly, the PlayStation port in the UK version had a demo for Resident Evil on the disc. I guess not weird because it's from Capcom, but it just feels a bit weird being on a Street Fighter disc. So that's Street Fighter Alpha. We've still got Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Alpha 3 to come, along with EX plus Alpha and just the other 500 Street Fighter games. But it feels really cool to move on from Street Fighter 2 and start looking at a brand new series. As I said, it's the first new Street Fighter game since Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior. So it was a big deal, and it's really cool to go back and look at it now. So thanks for joining us. If you're enjoying the series, as always, please leave a like. Click that thumbs up under the video because it really helps and it really shows me that you're enjoying the series, because I'm really enjoying making it. So I hope you can catch me next time, and I look forward to seeing you. Bye, 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 bye.